Hi, this is the Bitcoin Morning Brief. It's April 5th. We're here with Jimmy, Giacomo, and Tone. So, Tone, we all kind of saw you with CoinDaddy last night. What ended up happening there? We're going to have new video soon?
Yeah, we got well, yeah, there should be like a music video coming out now that I'm in San Francisco. He's trying to get me to actually rap on video. We'll see how that goes. That has never worked out well anywhere. Hey guys, I have to turn off my camera actually because I got latency issue, and as you can see, I kind of misplaced my camera and my hat yesterday. Partying with CoinDaddy is no joke. Let me stop my video. But yes, that was fun. It was really cool to meet him, and we'll see what kind of content I bring you guys today.
Giacomo, how's it going?
Fine. Everything's fine. Probably I should turn off the camera too because of my hair, but I will keep it on.
Well, Jimmy, your hair is looking good underneath the hat today. How are you
You can't see my hair. What? I mean, it's yeah. Now you can see it, but yeah, there's nothing in there. But yeah, that's part of why I wear this hat is because I like low maintenance haircuts. Unlike these guys. These guys obviously spend a lot more time on their hair than I do.
Do you wear cowboy boots as well, or just the hat?
Oh, of course, yeah. You got to see the ostrich skin one. I think I'm gonna get a python skin one pretty soon for obvious reasons.
Oh
Okay,
boy!
I will do this as well.
There you go. That looks awesome. I like
All
this. I like
We're
this.
set.
Actually, I asked for a no 1761 to fight against your takeover.
Nobody's producing a no 176 hat.
The vegans are gonna have a field day with your ostrich boots. Good thing I have comments turned off.
Oh well, yeah. I'm a carnivore. Sorry.
All right, let's do this. Off the screen share. So Ripple has tried to buy its way onto major exchanges for cryptocurrencies. So actually, all big exchanges have always charged for listings, so this isn't new. What's interesting about this is the fact that they're not trying to do this through listing, but instead that the exchanges are turning them down. So I actually like this because it's a way for us to decipher the quality of exchanges, because they will need to make really the binary decision of accepting or not, putting crap on their exchange or being known for having high standards. Therefore, it is a big story for me that Gemini and Coinbase have turned it down. So 3 simple takeaways in my eyes. 1, this is the way exchanges work. 2, bad exchanges will take money for bad listings. 3, good exchanges will exclude bad listings regardless of payment. Tone, you've seen this on Wall Street. What do you think?
Yeah, so I don't know how they're going to spin it because, see, all of this is an unregulated market. So to me, this looks like Ripple is trying to bribe these exchanges to list itself, which is really, really bad. Now, the way it's going to be spun is that there is actually a fee in the traditional markets to be listed on an exchange. And I think it's like around $50,000 or a year or something like that to be listed on like the NASDAQ. The article mentions it as well. So, but this is like, it just doesn't look good, right? Like I'm sure this was not going to be disclosed to the public. And Ripple it's not even a crypto. Like this is what bothered me for years. Ripple is not like, there's nothing decentralized about Ripple. Nothing. Like even Ethereum can argue that it's decentralized. At least they can argue. Like probably not against people on this podcast, but at least there is a debate that can happen there. Like Ripple being decentralized, it's not debatable. Like Ripple not being needed in the system at all is just not debatable. So I continue, every time we talk about Ripple, I continue to say that these people at Ripple, like they got convinced to do this token, and now they're trying to like fit it into something, and they don't know what to fit it in. So now they're trying to like justify, and continue to pump the price. I mean, this just looks bad on Ripple. It kind of looks good on exchanges, but these exchanges are also, allowing people to trade Ethereum, which isn't all that different than Ripple, right? Like to me, Ethereum is closer to Ripple than it is to Bitcoin, but like they're on different ends of the spectrum. So if someone is to like describe different levels of blockchains, like Ripple would be on like not even a blockchain, and then you have Bitcoin. Ethereum is somewhat in the middle, but it just like continues to look bad at how incompetent the Ripple project is from the day they added the token. Like it became a scam. Now, the merits of Ripple could be debatable, but the token itself is just not debatable. And the only people that continue to defend the token are those that are financially invested. And this Bloomberg article continues to repeat the fact that Ripple is like, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it's a duck. It's a security. It's plain and simple.
Jimmy, do you see this as Ripple's potential opportunity as a catalyst to have more adoption for their tech?
Well, clearly they're doing it because they wanted their coin to go up in price. I'm a little more cynical than you guys. I think the reason why they didn't get listed on Coinbase and Gemini is because they simply didn't offer enough money. $1 million sounds like a lot, but it actually doesn't get you very far on either exchange. They're making tens of millions a week. So, you know, $1 million is a drop in the bucket. You need to be offering, 50 or 100 million just from all of the hiring that they're going to have to do and the marketing push and all that stuff to make it worthwhile for them. To me, that's what's happening. And this also explains all those rumors from a few months ago of Coinbase, listing Ripple. It's clear now that was sort of being pushed from the Ripple side to, get people more excited about it and, seeing the consumer demand. They were hoping that Coinbase would eventually list it. But this isn't surprising at all. It's what all these coins do. When you're centralized and you have a large premium, what are you going to do with the money? You're going to use the money to make yourself more money. And this is one of the ways in which you do it. Obviously, there are a lot of other exchanges that have listed Ripple. The fact that like Bitsum in Korea has it, and several exchanges in China have it. That speaks to the fact that they were probably bribed. And I think you can pretty much, expect that. I don't know if those violate the laws of those countries or not, but that's certainly something that regulators are going to start to look at and say, well, was it a pay for play kind of thing? Honestly, $1 million just isn't enough. Even the $100 million loan that would have given them a lot of upside. I think they gave the option. It's basically a free option to pay in dollars or Ripple. So if the Ripple price went up after they listed it, that's what would have happened. I just think they didn't offer enough money to entice either company. And given the engineering trials that they were going through in the last 6 months, especially with respect to scaling their services, doesn't surprise me that they just didn't want to even listen. $1 million is too little.
Giacomo, especially given the recent lawsuits towards Coinbase, this could be potentially seen as fear on their part. Do you think that this could affect other exchanges with potentially the same fear that, lawsuits could come their way and that they just need to be more careful?
I don't know. This is a possible reading of the facts. I tend to agree with Jimmy that probably Ripple guys just didn't offer enough. But I also agree that it's good that we start to discuss publicly how do all the exchanges basically take their decisions about what coin to list and what not to list. This is very important because this is not related especially to XRP. I use Ripple as an excuse to discuss a more general problem. When you see something like coin market cap and you analyze the market cap of a coin or the Bitcoin dominance or something like that, you assume that metric has any meaning. But actually, if I want to make Zcoin, if I want to produce my Zcoin and I want it in coin market cap in the first 5 position, I have to do just 3 steps. First, I produce a coin with 1 billion units supply. Second, I bribe an exchange to list the coin. Third, I make a trade between me and myself on the exchange with $1 price between me and myself. And magically, I am in CoinMarketCap in the first positions of the list. And that's probably what many of these coins are doing. So it's good that people is publicly discussing the obvious fact that one part of the business model of exchanges is to get paid to list shitcoins. It would be nice to imagine that Coinbase and Gemini are refusing for moral or legal. It would be better, even better, if it would be moral issues. I don't think so. Actually, Coinbase had no problem in listing Bcash secretly and then front running the market and doing insider trading with the price of Bcash. So I don't think these guys didn't accept for ethical problems.
Tone, do you have any closing thoughts on this?
Oops, muted. Basically, here's the thing, right? Like people in this space, like just the majority of them, like they think this is normal. Like the majority of the people in the crypto space, like they demonize Wall Street so much that they feel that this is perfectly normal and a perfect free market to do this kinds of stuff. And, you know, like, yeah, we will create an altcoin. We already, you know, called all the exchanges. We already offered them, all of these exchanges, you know, 2% of our coin supply, and we'll get listed and then do all this stuff. Like it's, and they think this is fine. And then the government has weeded this stuff out of the traditional markets. Now, I'm not saying they did a great job. I'm not saying the SEC does a great job, but the SEC has a function to prevent this kind of, you know, insider profiting. And you may not like those rules, but those rules exist for a reason. And people in this space are like, no, if the government comes down on this, if there's regulation on this, then they're interfering with the free market. But their free market is basically like what we said about John McAfee yesterday. Like the free market is I can pump scam coins for $100,000 per tweet. That's their definition of a free market.
I'm okay with stupid people losing money. If they want to listen to John McAfee, go do it. If you want to go buy whatever newly listed coin on Coinbase or Gemini is, then you go do it. And if you're not going to do your own research and just follow like lemmings over a cliff, then be my guest. I have no sympathy for those people.
Yeah, I agree. I would add that one of the reasons that people sometimes complains also on Twitter about this podcast, they complain that we call out scams continually. Everything is a scam, but that's fundamental, especially because we are in a market where traditional measures, I don't discuss if they are effective or not. In my opinion, they are not very effective, but traditional measures of preventing front running, pump and dumps, they just fail in this market. That's why it's important to balance with more information, more honest and direct. And maybe it's boring for you guys to hear that everything is a scam, but the fact is that everything is a scam basically. So we have to tell it because in the Bitcoin ecosystem, the regulator can be replaced by culture and information and do your own research.
Right, but just, I'm sorry, I know we're lingering on this topic, but a lot of people like are really agreeing with Jimmy here in our live chat and not agreeing with me on idiots should lose their money. The reason why this bothers me is because 80 to 90% or more of everything in the crypto space is blatant scamming. When the regulators come down, it's gonna be like China. It's gonna be like India. They're not going to differentiate Bitcoin from BitConnect because all they will see is BitConnect. They're not going to see Bitcoin. And if people like us aren't trying to at least explain the difference between BitConnect and Bitcoin, then you are going to be the one screaming to the heavens when Bitcoin starts to get banned because of all of the crap that Bitcoiners are believing in the outskirts of the crypto space.
That's a different argument, Tone. Like if you're talking about regulators, that's kind of like, and if they don't do their own research, then that's going to reflect badly on them. And if there's a jurisdiction that does figure out, oh, okay, well, Bitcoin is different than all of these other ones that are clearly centralized, well, then that jurisdiction is going to win. So, I mean, I think there's an arbitrage there. I wouldn't worry too much about some overzealous regulator. Like, these are all hypothetical scenarios. And if, I'd rather have personal responsibility and people sort of, not protecting people against themselves. I'm just, that's an anathema to me.
All right, well, I think we can agree on that. There's definitely original issues with the Ripple token. I like your point, Jimmy, that 1 million is not enough. I would agree with that. Lots of exchange scamminess that we talk about all the time, but I couldn't agree more that we do the show to educate. And we'll see on your point, Tone. It seems like potentially there's some back and forth here about if this more scamminess and taking down will be used as a synecdoche by the regulators. But definitely to that, in the New York Stock Exchange, they decline most companies. So we'll definitely see, but hopefully, education does ensure that, hopefully not to your point, Jimmy, that dumb people lose their money. Hopefully we can educate so that they won't have to. All right. So Mt. Gox CEO, I don't want bankrupt Bitcoin exchanges billions. So yesterday, Mark Karpeles wrote a letter apologizing to the exchange's users and stating that he believes it's his responsibility to not receive capital back after the reimbursement. I'm going to make a controversial statement here. Karpeles is either the world's stupidest man or he's the world's most uncreative man, because anyone with half an intelligence could think of a lot of wonderful projects that $1 billion could create. Lots of jobs, build the ecosystem, give to charities, team up with other projects. Instead, he's just saying, no, I don't want it. Or the third option is he simply feels like he's the world's guiltiest man. Jimmy, I think there's got to be more to this story.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. What else is he supposed to say? He's looking at like some sort of insane number of lawsuits. He's been embroiled in a lawsuit ever since it went down. The last 5 years has not been very pleasant to him. It doesn't matter if you have billions, if you're just like having to show up in court every day and don't get access to the money because it's like, I think he sees the legal writing on the wall, which is that even if he were entitled to billions of dollars, he's not going to get to access it in any way, shape, or form for another 10 years just from lawsuits and things like that. And the fact that Peter Vesesny's and the entire BitInstant thing is like holding this whole thing up when it really has zero merit. The fact that Peter Vesesny's continues to hold this thing up is a complete travesty and shows you how much somebody can sort of drag this process along from a frivolous lawsuit. Imagine how much, like an actual person that suffered from the Mt. Gox collapse can drag this thing out for Mark Karpeles. I think he's doing the right thing. I think he's doing the rational thing and saying that he doesn't want it because he's not going to get it anyway. It's not a feasible thing. It's kind of like, Anna Nicole Smith, she married that like billionaire or whatever. And then, as soon as he died, like she was looking forward to it. That lawsuit like was embroiled for like another 15 years. She died before she could access any of that money. I think it would be the same way with Mark Karpeles when there are large amounts of money involved and there's any possible reason to, like sue somebody, that's just going to happen. So I think he's doing the rational thing here.
Tone, as we spoke about on this show previously, there was a lot of FUD around the Tokyo whale. Do you think that this will, and that affecting and being correlated to Bitcoin price drop, how do you think that this could affect that?
I don't think it really does. I mean, obviously, I don't think the Tokyo whale caused the big drops. I mean, maybe at the very end when he panic sold like 3x of the amounts. But in general, I mean, look, there was a lot of selling going on. He was one of the big sellers. He didn't help, but he didn't cause it. And it's already proven, right? We're already back to the lows at which he stopped selling. And this goes to prove that no single whale, just like no single news event, can cause and affect the longer term trend of a market. Now, but speaking of Mark Karpeles, now I'll add one more to Jimmy. I mean, I don't see Mark Karpeles as a scammer. I never called Mark Karpeles a scammer. I think Mark Karpeles himself is a pretty honest guy. He just ran an incompetent exchange. Now, granted, being incompetent with other people's money does not, give you a get out of jail free card. So he deserved what he got. He understands that he deserved what he got, but he's not like Paul Vernon or like Big Vern of Cryptsy that ran away with other people's money. So I still give Karpeles a bunch of respect for. Oh, can somebody stop typing, please, or mute, or just
Sorry.
mute. All right, gotcha. So I'm okay. Like I'm okay with that. Like I only have one question over this whole Mt. Gox thing, and that is, what did Mark Karpeles say about Jeb McCaleb in the court proceedings? That would be my one and only question for when this thing is finally all public knowledge. As for what happens to the rest of the money, I think it should be given to the investors of Mt. Gox in the form of Bitcoin. I know they froze the fiat amount at the point at which it broke down, and I think the fiat amount was like $400 or $500, and that's how much these people are getting. Now, I will say that Mark Karpeles did officially tell the court that, hey, this Bitcoin shouldn't be liquidated. Like people should, like you shouldn't sell the Bitcoin and give fiat. You should just give people the Bitcoin, whatever fiat amount they owe at $400 a Bitcoin. Now that Bitcoin is worth more, like I agree, and Karpeles doesn't want to be a target, and he doesn't want to be accused of, profiting from this mess with $1 billion. So like, just give it back to the people that lost money, because one Bitcoin is worth a lot more now. Like, save a little bit for Mark Karpeles' future, defense cases, so you can afford a lawyer, because he's probably going to get sued again and again. But other than that, just give it back to the people. Because Mark Karpeles is not competent enough to run another project with other people's money. So just give it back to the former users of Mt. Gox.
Jimmy, do you agree with this?
Well, so I'm going to take exception to your statement that Mark Karpeles is not a scammer. We know that there was a Willy bot that kept buying and pumped up the price sort of artificially through most of November of 2013. So I don't think you can say that he's not a scammer. It's very possible that he is. And if you looked at the AMA from yesterday that he did, he kept, anytime the Willy bot or any of the sketchy things that were going on at Mt. Gox were brought up, he just sort of deferred and said, I can't comment on it because of an ongoing lawsuit. I have a feeling he'll never answer those questions, but my gut feeling is that he did have some culpability in just what happened over there, and to blame it all on Jen McCaleb or his poor security practices. It's not just incompetence. I think it's also like a lack of integrity.
Giacomo.
Wait, just one counter. So I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Look, the Willy bot, sure, that wasn't good, but like if I had to rank the Willy bot on my scam meter, it would be pretty low. I mean, the Chinese exchanges were doing fake volume like nonstop all throughout 13 and 14. Like we don't.
I mean, those were wash trades, Tone. That's different than like actually buying Bitcoin with cash you don't have. I mean, that was an outright scam.
Like again, look, it wasn't nice. I mean, but this is like the kind of like this is this short-term market manipulation that happens in all markets. Granted, a little more significant in this particular case, but it's not like he stole that Bitcoin, right? Now, if he actually stole,
if you're fractionally reserving it, I think it's the same as stealing. I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah, we'll disagree a little bit there, but sure, I guess you win that one.
Giacomo, do you have thoughts about this debate that's going on right now?
Yeah, I think I agree with Tone that this, I mean, at least in the context of our industry, with the average scamminess level of our industry, Mark Karpeles is probably more on the incompetence part of the side of the spectrum. I mean, probably he didn't plan anything of these. Even Willy was just a hectic and stupid attempt to respond at what was happening. Actually, the level of incompetence of Mt. Gox is so great that is actually a great case of a great history to study incompetence. I suggested to all the viewers to look to reach out the presentation during Breaking Bitcoin Paris in 2017. There was a presentation about all the ways in which Mark Karpeles lost money other people's money, like in every possible imaginable way, like every possible bug, any possible mistake you could do with an exchange, he did it. It was not a one-shot mistake. It was an infinite plethora of mistakes. It was great. So check his incompetence out, because it was very, very instructive. The second thing that I would like to stress is that actually the fact that I agree with Jimmy that probably he will never see this money back. But if he does see this money back, there is one great project that he can actually pursue, which is just taking the list of empty ghost creditor, taking the Bitcoin address, and sending back pro quota to everybody. So of course he's right that he doesn't deserve that money, but there is an easy way out of that if he wants. Just give the money back to the creditors as much as you can. Nobody can prevent you from doing that. You also have the public.
Hey, Giacomo, you sure you actually want him doing that based on everything you said prior in your statement?
You're right. My first choice was, yeah, you can mess it up as well. So my first choice would be the curators, the liquidators doing that. But if he really gets that, but the third thing that I would like to say is that it's incredible. I mean, that this case sheds an incredible light on the Japanese regulation. How is it possible that after everything that happened, the regulation is so that he gets so much money, with the creditors getting basically diluted so much? So I don't know the legal details, but I would say that any legal framework that has this particular outcome is probably a little bit crazy. I cannot understand the process that can lead here.
Absolutely. So first of all, to note, we just learned that Tone has a scam meter and Giacomo potentially an incompetence meter. So, this exists. So potentially he's doing the right thing. We probably will never see the money back. I'm learning. And as for everybody watching this for TA, right? News doesn't affect TA for the most part in the long term. So at least the Tokyo whale or this news event, shouldn't affect our candlesticks today too much.
Oh God! Don't feed the trolls. All the comments are gonna be, so why are you guys talking about the news for an hour?
True. All right. Well, on to China, from Japan to China. So Foxconn to manufacture blockchain phone from Sirin Labs. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. So Foxconn, right, is the world's largest electronics manufacturer. They make iPhones, Kindles, PlayStations, that's listed in the story, much more. And they've agreed to develop this blockchain phone called the Finny from a Swiss company, which is Sirin, which is designed to help owners securely store and use digital coins, such as Bitcoin, as well as related services. Giacomo, I like this actually. And I think that it potentially could lead to mass adoption quickly because of it seems very ease of use. So you simply put your thumbprint, it has an iris scan and an easy code, and then you can use it. And it kind of says that hopefully you don't get kidnapped.
So in general, I agree with you that user experience on Bitcoin and Bitcoin security needs a huge improvement, needs a lot of time to evolve. So the need on the market to have easier and better UX and better hardware and hardware security, that's a fact. I completely agree with that. So the state need, it's true. Also, I'm happy that some incumbent of let's say legacy established technology jumps in to try to solve this need. I don't really like the specific example here because, first of all, the way they're describing this, I mean, a telephone which is built in order to have some kind of hardware security inside for Bitcoins or for private keys in general could be a nice idea, like trust and execution environment or secure elements, stuff like that. So it's not a bad idea. But the way they're describing it, like biometric is not the way to secure anything because you leave your biometric fingerprints everywhere, and when you lose it, you cannot change it because it's your biometric. So that's probably more techno buzzword than anything else. And also, I don't really appreciate the involvement with the with actually the Syrian labs, because they are launching their scammy blockchain. They are involved with Bancor. I even don't really like that they are calling everything the Fini, because actually Fini didn't create his own scammy blockchain in partnership with Bancor. He actually participated in the Bitcoin project at the best of his effort in a very open way. So I don't know, it's probably not my call to say anything about his surname. Maybe some hair has agreed, I don't know. But it's not very classy to take something connected with an ICO and a private blockchain and call it Fini. Anyway, in general, the fact that you could use better hardware, general purpose hardware in order to boost Bitcoin security UX for the average user is interesting. There is a lot going on, like Ledger Blue, the digital beatbox connected with the phone. There is a lot of stuff to do.
True. And to what you mentioned before, Sirin did raise 158 million in December for the project in an ICO, in addition to the 70 million raised previously. Tone, it says that they're actually trying to target Overstock.com and Expedia. As we know, Overstock.com is actually now being probed by the SEC. Do you think that this is going to land a lot of hiccups for them of their rollout strategy?
I don't understand this. Like, I really, really don't. I mean, sure, you can focus on Overstock.com, but like, again, I'm sorry, I don't get it. There's lots of red flags here in this article, like the statement right there, you can highlight right in the middle of that sentence that has 158 million in December, or it says, that second sentence, the phone is slated to ship in October. Sirin plans to sell the device through 8 new stores located places in the active crypto communities of Vietnam and Turkey. I mean, really, Vietnam and Turkey are the most active crypto communities? Like, there's like several red flags here. I mean, I read the article. I didn't see the ICO part that they actually ICO'd. The article did mention that they're competing with a couple of companies that ICO'd. And
no, they did directly. Sirin Labs had a crowd sale token in probably I
December.
guess, yeah, in December.
In December. Oh yeah, initial coin offering. Sorry, I see it right there in the same paragraph. I guess I'm when I don't see giant letters ICO, I kind of give it the benefit of the doubt, but I guess they spelled it out. So look, obviously no one would give them money for this thing, so they're doing it themselves. They raised a bunch of money because they convinced people that having a cell phone with Bitcoin security on it is a good idea. In reality, this is probably a terrible idea. First of all, you're going to have to convince first world countries to sell these phones in their stores. That's not going to fly, right? Because like the governments like to monitor cell phones. They want to know exactly what's in them. Now, there's been multiple attempts to try and do, like, I think, what do you call it? Well, Ledger was trying to do it, and Mycelium was trying to do it, and like a few other projects have been trying to do it, where you use like the internal hardware of a cell phone in order to, you know, to verify. But all of this stuff needs to be open source. What idiot is going to trust this phone unless they open source it? Because any moment, the designer of this project can like steal your Bitcoin. It's like the bracelet that I have. It's in my bag. I mean, basically what it comes down to, I'm going to grab it now, actually. So it's a bracelet like this. Oh, wait, I don't have my camera on. So that was kind of,
Yeah,
so I'm a retard. All right, let me turn my camera back on, right? So it's a bracelet like this, right? And on the back of this bracelet, I'm not going to flip it over. On the back of this bracelet is an engraved private key, okay? And I love that because the private key is in the open. The moment I flip this bracelet over, you will see full private key. So when you build a phone like this, like you have to prove to your people that it has better security than this bracelet, right? Like, this is why I love it, because I'm like, okay, so how is your phone?
Wait. It has a private key that you can look at? You sure?
Yeah, it's engraved on the back of this bracelet. Yeah.
So anyone that takes your bracelet can take all your money?
If you're dumb enough to put it on a bracelet, yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
But again, but that's the purpose, right? When they sell you this bracelet, it comes with $10 on this private key that's engraved in silver, like it's a silver, like the Bitcoin.
Wait. So they generated the private key?
Yeah, yeah. So there, right. So there's a private
So
key.
you shouldn't trust this thing at all because they probably have the private key if you put any more money on it.
Well, of course, right? But again, like this cell phone needs to prove to me that they have better security than this bracelet, right? Like,
Jimmy, on that, can you?
sorry. One more thing, general, like biometrics to access your phone is the worst kind of thing you can do. Because remember, one of the things you're trying to do is prevent hackers. But what got me interested in Bitcoin is that your value is unconfiscatable by governments. And what I learned recently was if you are password encrypting your phone with a PIN, you can like claim and not forced to be entered that PIN in. If you use biometrics to encrypt your phone, a court order can force you to unlock your phone through biometrics. It's kind of like forcing you to get fingerprinted. So you got to be real careful as to how you protect your phone and the reason you're protecting that phone. If you don't want to get your Bitcoin confiscated by government, do not use biometrics because they could put you in jail until they can get your fingerprints, they can get whatever, make you look at the phone. Like so you really got to decide why you're protecting something.
Jimmy, very interesting. Jimmy, can you follow up on Tone's comments about your thoughts on the tech?
Well, I mean, just in general, it's hard to trust hardware because there's no open standard for a lot of this stuff. Even if you had like all of the circuit diagrams and stuff like that, there's no guarantee that the actual chip that's on there is going to match whatever the diagrams are. So it's very difficult to do that. There are sort of like certification standards for this sort of stuff. I've been advocating for some sort of consumer level HSM for a long time. That's FIPS 140-2 level 3. That's tamper proof, not tamper evident, and then you can go back up the key. But that's sort of one level at which I am analyzing this thing. The other level at which I analyze this thing is that really, you just want more people to buy off of Overstock or Expedia. Doesn't seem all that useful to me. Again, Bitcoin is something that rises in price. Who's going to want to spend it? I don't care if they Overstock or Expedia take Bitcoin. I'd rather spend my debt issue from my credit card rather than actual Bitcoin. And this is sort of a use case that I don't think is really there. Every merchant that's taken Bitcoin, they generally fizzle out after like an initial burst, and most have sort of like gone back to not accepting it anymore. So I don't see this as particularly useful. I think store of value is the much more interesting case. And in that case, something like an HSM is quite useful. I don't see phone manufacturers going in this direction. I wouldn't buy this phone even if it had these features. Most of them, like if I'm keeping money on a phone, it's not like more than $300 or something like that. Granted, it sucks to lose that kind of money if you lose your phone. But you shouldn't be keeping more than that on your phone. You should be keeping it in like cold storage or something in a more secure manner. So, yeah, I just don't see it.
And Jimmy, and the final point is, whatever it is that they make, they're not going to compete with Samsung. They're not going to compete with Apple. They're not going to compete with, the top tier cell phones. So you're just buying like I want to say second-rate phone, but it's more like a ninth-rate phone just to hold your crypto that you can do with a couple of wallet apps on a really good cell phone for usefulness purposes. And you're not going to put all that much money on it anyway. Like, I just think it's a waste of an effort.
Right. I agree. So it sounds like tech is far from commercialization. And I would agree with you, Tone, that, I mean, if this starts working in any case, then Apple and the other hardware makers that have a lot more resources in their own R&D department and do not need an ICO will step in and make something work. But it seems as if we're far from there, at least right now. So Verge hacked. Developers accidentally hard fork in response. The story is 1, there was a bug in the altcoin Verge code. 2, it was discovered. 3, Verge attempted to fix it. 4. They made it worse. Jimmy, can you break this down?
Yeah, apparently there was some sort of 51% attack that sort of used the 2-hour time sync parameter, and basically their response was to change that parameter to like 15 minutes, and that caused a hard fork because obviously there were blocks that had more than 2 hours. So I don't know exactly what's happening with their chains, but there should be more than one, just given that they did this in a few hours or whatever. The fact that you are so centrally controlled that whenever something happens, you can just sort of issue a hard fork and just say we're done with it. Tells you all you need to know about these things.
And while fixing the problem, you made the problem bigger, which also shows you exactly what this crypto space is all about. It also shows your full incompetence in the solution.
Well, I don't know if it was accidental. I think they knew that it would result in a hard fork because a lot of the blocks before were using the time skew parameter to execute the attack. But regardless, I mean, this is from my article earlier this week about why Bitcoin's different. Verge is obviously centralized, and if some government says, "Hey, we want you to put in this crypto backdoor into your coin" or something like that, then they'll end up doing it, and you'll be none the wiser because they'll just hard fork, and you'll be forced to upgrade and take in all of the NSA. Honeypots or whatever, and your security will be compromised. I mean, they're supposed to be this like privacy centric coin, but it looks to me like it's not really that secure or private.
Giacomo, is this similar with other accidents like the DAO?
Well, there are some similarities, like the process that Jimmy was describing and Tone were describing like now of messes and attempts to solve the messes, creating other messes. That was typical of the DAO accident. Everybody now just remember about the hard fork with the bailout and the new coin that was undoing the DAO malinvestments by Vitalik and other insiders. But people doesn't remember how messy was the attempt to fix it at the beginning. Like after the what people calls the DAO hacker, I would prefer to call him the DAO lawyer, because he read the code and code was law, and he just applied the law in a very ingenious way to get money. So the DAO lawyer took the money, and then they tried to organize a white hat attack with the complicity of the curators to take the money back, but that didn't work because the lawyers started to split, and then they tried to blacklist the money with a soft fork, but then just created a giant attack surface for a DDoS attack. So they had to hard fork at the end. So they created a lot of, or also if you want, another comparison is the parity hack. So the great smart contract platform Ethereum cannot actually provide a secure, simple multi-sig. So there was a very complex smart contract to provide a simple multi-sig by parity guys. It was broken. They tried to fix it, and trying to fix it, they opened a surface for a random guy to accidentally kill all the parity wallets, multi-sig contracts. So that's in a way similar. That proves that in a small, not industrial grade, not security grade, not strongly engineered and peer-reviewed pet projects or commercial project without strong engineer knowledge and without a strong security culture, stuff like that happens continuously. They do mistake, they try to fix the mistake, they create other mistakes.
Tone, thank you, Giacomo. Tone, another potential similarity. It looks like this is another individual that was attempting to help this, what's his name here? OC Miner, just like Salim with Ledger.
Oh yeah, no, it's crazy, right? Like you point out like a problem and everyone says, oh my God, you're spreading FUD, you're causing this thing to fall. He's like, no, 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 so someone just stole it all. No, you're causing FUD. Don't say that. It's going to be bad for our investment. Anyway, this is like, one shitcoin down so that no one will ever say on my comment to me that Verge is the next great thing better than Bitcoin. But for every one that goes down, there's like 10 more that show up that people continuously pump as better than Bitcoin. I think I'm done with this one.
Absolutely. All right. Well, moving to mempool, if that's okay, unless you have a final comment, Jimmy. I have the mempool up. Let's
go look at the mempool. I haven't looked at this yet, so this is my first time looking at it. You could see that it's been clearing. I've seen this pattern before where there's like a big spike at around 8 something. I'm guessing there's a cron job on Coinbase or Gemini or Zoppo or BitGo or something where they just release a bunch of transactions right around 8 o'clock or so. But yeah, I mean, you can see that it's more or less empty. You can get them in for like 1 Satoshi per byte. I don't think it's a stretch to say if you make it like something like 5, you'll get it in the next hour. If you really, really want to spend a lot of money, you can do with 10 and probably get it in the next block. So yeah, I mean, mempool is pretty empty, and you should take advantage of it. If you haven't moved to SegWit addresses or something like that, this is the time to do it.
All right, thank you, Jimmy. And Tone, we're sitting at 6,700. Please help us.
You may want to, stop watching right now, because no help's coming. Because, oh boy, we dropped when we started the show probably 2 hours ago. I'm kidding. But when we started the show, we were sitting in a much better position. We're like $100 higher. Now the weekly candle has once again turned red. I believe today is Thursday. Hard to keep track when on the road. And we're sitting right at that 50-day moving average. Now, closing below the 50-week moving average, closing below the 50-week moving average is not necessarily, a prelude to significant downside. The way moving average trading works is you close below a rising moving average, and then you buy on the following candle if it goes back up above the moving average. So closing below the moving average isn't like a death for an asset, but the chances are not good that it's going to go back up. So the weekly candle looks very weak. The short play off the weekly charts took place off of this red line last week, probably around Monday, at a price of 8,100 or thereabouts. The daily chart is looking very ugly. Now, I was looking for a 1 to 4 candle bounce off of this 9 hammer reversal candle that got as low as 6,200 on Bitfinex. So adjust for your exchange accordingly. We had 2 really good days, and the second day of the rebound looked really good, and it closed at the top of its candle. So there was no indication that yesterday was going to be such a bad day that it was. And also keep in mind that as this 9 was forming, I talked about a tradable bounce to 4-day correction with the most likely reversal at 7,800. Now, according to the rules of this indicator that new people may not know what it is, the sequential system, we've never had a green 2 trading above a green 1. So the sequential system did not actually give you a bullish trade, though you could have taken on a bullish trade off of the 9 reversal, just not your full account's worth. And then you reevaluate with every day, looking for that 1 to 4 day dead cat bounce. Now, because we reversed so hard yesterday, this bounce was weaker than expected. And now look what's happening. Yesterday was the new swing close. Today is even a lower close, though granted, we don't have swing highs. This is a classic case of way too much time to sell at the lows, right? You don't get time to pick a bottom. And look, in February, when we crashed all down, now we are at these levels. Back in February, you only had 2 days to get this trade. And on each of those days, you only had about an hour or two during those days in order to get this bounce. This time around, you've probably spent a good 48 hours total at this price period of 67.50. So I believe we're going to go significantly lower. These arrows are playing out in a medium-term time scale, as I expected. I do expect us in the vicinity of 6,000, perhaps bouncing there off of another 9, giving traders the illusion that there is such a thing as a double bottom. And then I am expecting us to go lower at this stage. I'm hoping that 4,900 would give us that ultimate bounce back to the upside. Because if it doesn't, my statistical probability says that 1,300 is the most likely outcome, even though we could technically rebound from any point. And if we do go to the vicinity of 5,000, there will be infinite amount of game theory articles being written. What happens to mining? Because what happens if mining isn't profitable? So there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff based on the 4-hour candles. We did get a 9 on the 4-hour, but we're already trading below that 9. So you can almost start to treat this 9 as a continuation 9, and we're about to go lower on the 4-hour. I mean, the rebound should have already happened off of the 9, and we only have 30 minutes left in this candle. This is the 12-hour chart. Again, here's your double bottom, and this is usually very bad for any asset. You take a best fit line around the bottom, and we're already flirting with that line. We can now treat this 9 as a continuation 9, leading to this 1 to 4 candle reversal, which was perfect. And now you're going down. The red 2 started trading below a red 1. So that was the short entry using the 12-hour candles. And now you have the countdown as well that you're working on. Actually, you're working on a countdown from this 9. There'll be another countdown from that 9. Yeah, so things are not looking good at all. And I'll briefly mention, the S&P 500, while everyone thought it was gonna, crash yesterday, it actually rebounded. So the S&P 500 has really screwed with traders as well. And I remain generally bullish the S&P 500. This is a weird double bottom. Now we'll see, but I don't know why I'm talking the S&P 500, but it's just an interesting chart that just reevaluated the 50-day moving average. And if we do come back to the $2,600 level or below 2,600 on S&P, then I can expect lower prices. But for now, I'm still like neutral to slightly bullish. All right, guys, on this note, I will stop screen share and maybe turn on my camera, and we'll see how that goes.
Well, the bears are definitely still growling when it comes to Bitcoin, but thank you everybody for watching. This is a Bitcoin morning brief. It is April 5th. Jimmy?
Well, this song is done.
Tone with more musical notes?
Oh God, maybe later today when I meet up with CoinDaddy again.
Giacomo?
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Have a good one.